What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. And we are now live on YouTube, not technically live, but we are now recording video. And of course, for the first episode where I record video, I thought, let's have someone on who won't show their face, which is just brilliant by me, really. But so we have Mr. Craigory Smith on the line. If you don't know who Craigory Smith is, he is a insider in Milwaukee for a radio station there. What's going on, Craigory?
Not much. Glad to be on. Thanks for giving me a platform.
Yeah, of course. You know, I think your voice is really necessary in today's trade slop market, and we need to hear the insights. Like I think about like the greatest journalists, like the most honest people out there, and I think of like Shams, Woj, Sam Sheehan NBA, and Craigory Smith are like my four go-to guys. There are some other people that I generally like trust, but you guys are definitely like the Mount Rushmore of trustworthiness when it comes to NBA trade rumors. So first off, up top, you got a juicy rumor that you want to drop on us. So what is the big name player who's going to be out there at the deadline that you have been hearing about?
So the Phoenix Suns have made I wouldn't say they stressed not available. They are listening about the Phoenix Suns are listening about DeAndre Ayton's trade value on the market. They're exploring trading, which is we'll get to it. They're looking for a versatile player who could maybe give them a different look because they're pretty satisfied with how JaVale and Bismack Biyombo have been playing, which is just a hilarious sentence to hear in 2021 or 2022. They think they can hold down the fort in the regular season, and they want somebody who they think can do well in the playoffs, which is very funny if you remember how well DeAndre Ayton played the first 3 rounds, and just Giannis has single-handedly destroyed any opinion of DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. I mean, got him into foul trouble, wasn't able to, obviously stay on the court enough in that series to really make like a major difference. And I remember in like the second and third round hearing like, I'm not even exaggerating. I heard people arguing that would you rather have a center like Ayton or would you rather have Joel Embiid? So I'm glad that we've now got to the point where just like it was with Bam Adebayo, that with DeAndre Ayton, people are coming back down to earth a little bit. I just want to have a side note. I still think DeAndre Ayton's really good. I don't really think that like the idea of Phoenix like moving on from him is nothing to do with his play on the court. It's literally just the owner being cheap as shit. Robert Sarver, the most ethical man in the NBA, the most honest, loyal, just like the best owner in the NBA, notorious for being a great guy, is sheeping out once again and possibly fucking over the Suns. So you've said to me, and you just said like the versatile center is what they're looking for, right?
Yes. It's also the whole thing with Ayton is that he wants a max, and can you really build a contender when you have a guy like DeAndre Ayton as center, get out on max as compared to like Joel Embiid or Jokic as a center on a max? Like, I don't know if DeAndre Ayton exactly does enough to like
sure
in the modern NBA to warrant a max, which is the whole issue. Like, you could not to like say Sarver shouldn't just fucking pay him because he should, but like you can like not quite like JaVale and Bismack Biyombo can perfectly replicate Ayton, but they've been playing well in the regular season. But
so what you're saying is DeAndre Ayton is just Bismack Biyombo, but picked number 1 overall.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Clip that one.
Max contract JaVale McGee.
So the funniest thing is they are, for as far as versatile player, they're looking for like a younger PJ Tucker is a name that I heard thrown out there. So remove Ayton's name from it, and it's trading the 2018 first overall pick for a younger PJ Tucker,
who you picked ahead of Luka Doncic, Trae Young,
yep,
and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jaren Jackson. It's easy to say that now. You know, Ayton was thought to be as one of the top 2 or 3 prospects in that class. I don't think that anyone there were people at the time. I thought it was stupid at the time that they didn't pick Luka number 1. I think a lot of people felt that way, but I don't think that people looked at it like they looked at the Marvin Bagley pick. Like, I think that everything that's going on with Ayton now, like, I don't think you should do the James Wiseman sunk cost fallacy thing that the Warriors are doing, which is like, we're just not going to sign a backup center so that maybe James Wiseman, who was literally played like 25 games of basketball over the past 2 seasons and was largely terrible for them, is just going to be our backup center and we're going to contend for titles. Like, I understand, like, I don't think that like it's comparable to like that kind of situation, but at the same time, like, Phoenix is a market where like they don't really get free agents. Like, they've had some success getting free agents. They got Chris Paul to go there. They got, obviously historically, they got Steve Nash to go there. They've had some success with it, but like generally speaking, they draft their own guys there. And also on top of that, like,
Also, they
Phoenix
traded for Chris Paul.
What's that?
They traded for Chris Paul. They didn't.
They did trade for Chris Paul, but he
Obviously,
got to pick where he
OKC
wanted
got
to.
the pick, yeah. But
Yeah, he got to pick where he wanted to go because that's what Sam Presti kind of does, is tells like, I know, because he basically said, fuck no, I'm not going to Philly and playing for Doc Rivers. So awesome. And probably Daryl Morey too, because, you know, they both kind of
Wombo combo, baby.
Yeah, you know, the most personable GM coach duo in the entire NBA we have here in Philadelphia. But the Ayton thing is funny to me because I'm like, who the fuck else are you going to pay with that money? Like, Chris Paul's what, 37? How old is Chris Paul? 36, 37?
36, turning 37, I think, before the season's over.
Okay, so 36, turning 37. Okay, so this is your window this year. I'm not saying like I think that this thing that's being floated out there is probably more like, hey, he's available if we get blown away by an offer.
I'm sure.
And we don't want to necessarily max him this summer, so maybe we should try to get what we can and build around Booker and Bridges and all that shit. But like, I've been thinking about people, and I'm like, I don't think there's a single player out there right now that you could just take and put on the Suns and they would remain a surefire title contender. I'm not saying that DeAndre Ayton is like what makes them go. Chris Paul and Devin Booker are what makes them go. But he's
I was gonna say, is in a lieu of is he a good playing center, or does he just play with Chris Paul?
Right, it's hard to tell. It is really hard to tell. But I think that he's but there is some like viability to the fact that like he is a really good defender. Like, he gave Jokic a lot of problems, and like to get through the West, you're probably going to have to go up against, I mean, it seems kind of funny now, but like Anthony Davis, Jokic, like to get to the finals, like you're going to have to go up against, you know, Escargo,
James
Greg
Wiseman, Anthony.
You're going to have to go up against, you know, Baguette Boban. You'll have to go up against, I don't really think that, like, I think that what Ayton brings to the table is he's a really good rim protector. He's a pretty good defender, and he's a great fit with Booker and Paul. So if you're to go try to get like a more versatile, like PJ Tucker type, let's say, which is what you said, is like, okay, what's your idea? Throw your Ayton idea at me.
I don't know if this is actually, it's all theoretical because the dude hasn't played all year. But if they want like that versatile guy who can play like 8 positions, it's Thad Young, and he makes about the same amount of money Ayton does.
So yeah, they're gonna trade DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, I didn't say it was a good idea. I said it was like that fits the bill.
Well, look, Thad Young's only 32 years old. That's always been the thing with Thad Young. You're like, damn, I didn't realize he's only 32. He came into the league like 15 years ago at like 17. He's the Jason Tatum of 15 years ago. He's 33 now. But yes, no,
untradeable. God,
what's that?
He's 33, untradeable.
I mean, you're trading your 23-year-old borderline all-star center who could theoretically get better. You're trying to get back a guy who's going to be like a high leverage player, like a guy who can play a 16-game player, as you said to me earlier, a guy who can fit well with Booker and Chris Paul. And I just think like if they're going to go after some guys, like some people that made sense to me, I had a list of a few guys that I'll read off now. John Collins is someone I think that could make a lot of sense. He could probably do, I mean, I don't think he's going to protect the rim quite like DeAndre Ayton does, but he's become a pretty good help defender. He catches lobs, he can shoot, like he's kind of versatile. And also the Hawks are like, we'll get rid of this guy for anything. Now the issue with that would be Clint Capella is like, they just signed Clint Capella to a 3-year extension and they literally cannot trade him until this offseason. So you're essentially just punting on this season and hoping to build around Trey and Capella. Yeah, right?
Trey and Ayton, you mean?
Yeah. Trey and Capella, who would be like the new and improved version of Capella in theory, at least.
Yep.
So there's that.
Is the Warriors scare them that much? I don't remember the Warriors. I know the Warriors beat the crap out of them twice, but like, did they just play Ayton off the floor? Is this just a wild overreaction to that? I don't remember that game very well. If you do,
I don't either. But I mean, I think that they've played pretty close games, if I remember correctly. Maybe that is the thing, but like, I mean, Steph literally can't even hit a 3 right now. Draymond's injured and could be out for the rest of the season. So I don't really think you can really base your moves around what the Warriors are doing. I think you need to base your moves around what's going to be best for the team this year to help us contend right now. And trading for a guy like John Collins, like at least like John Collins did play pretty well in the playoffs last year, but like also there were some games where he just like completely disappeared. And even in the Sixers series, when they won that series, like it's not like John Collins is making his stamp on every single game he's playing in, but he can at least in theory be a versatile guy, a big who can play the 4, the 5, whatever. So
I also realized that if they go for John Collins, they have to send like Landry Shamet back to the Hawks, and Landry Shamet just feels like a Hawk. Landry Shamet's going to finish his career on every team in the NBA. At the rate
Landry Shamet is going to do the Jeff Green, Kevin Ollie tour of duty where he just plays for like 17 NBA teams. I think it would be funny if they just waited until the draft to trade Landry Shamet, because it's like, I feel like every year at the draft, it would just be a funny bit if they're like, we should just trade Landry Shamet again. Does anyone want him? We got to make this a recurring thing.
You want
He's been traded at the last 2 drafts.
Do you want the 37th overall pick in Landry Shamet for the 49th overall pick in like a Plumlee?
It just keeps getting lower and lower every year. The first time it was the 19th pick. Last year it was the 28th pick. Then the following year it's going to be like the 37th pick, and then eventually we'll just get to the point where you're trading every year. A team just trades the last pick in the draft for Landry Shamet. Do you know that when we traded him, there were Sixers fans and personalities who said he's the next Klay Thompson?
Yes. I knew people who were very high on Shamet, and people still are, even though I think he's not done that well this year, from what I remember. But I haven't heard his name anyway.
He's like a 8th man, 9th man. Like, he's like whatever. He's like, his ceiling is like, I don't know, Bryn Forbes. Like, he's not good.
Hey, that's NBA champion Bryn Forbes.
I forgot that I'm talking to a Milwaukee loyalist here, and as we know, outscored Jimmy Butler in a playoff series. So really, who's to say here? Could Landry Shamet outscore Jimmy Butler in a playoff series?
A lot of people can. He's not that good.
Fair enough. So some other names I had on the list for him, I basically was just like, okay, who's available for trade right now? And who is like a versatile, I don't even know what that really even means. I guess it's just like, you can shoot, you can defend, and you can catch lobs. Like, those are the guys that they want to surround Booker and Paul with. And as you said, like, Paul can kind of make any center into like a good player, a valuable player. And so the other guy that I had on there was Jeremy Grant from the Pistons. So Jeremy Grant for the Pistons. So just to go back to touch on that first trade, I think they could trade Ayton and Dario Saric's contract plus like some filler for John Collins. And that would probably have to be what you need to do for salary matching for Jeremy Grant, who's available at the deadline. But like, once again, do you want to trade the former number 1 overall pick for like the 78th best player in the NBA?
who have to you immediately have to pay, and the reason you're not don't want to sign Ayton is because you don't want to pay him.
And you don't want to pay him. And yes, he'll probably make less money, but not that much less money. And then the best part about all this is that Jeremy Grant thinks that he is Kevin Durant.
Yes.
So,
and he would be comfortably the third option, equivalent with Mikal Bridges. Like that would be his role. Would be that, and it's just
which is probably the best role for him. But he's like, nope, I'm LeBron James.
All credit to him. He wants to fucking be the star of the show, which got all power to you, man. Go to China, seek your worth, be the king of over there. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, I'm not hating on Jeremy Grant for that, but like, realistically, if you're a contender, that's not like he's made it known. He had a list of teams. I'm assuming he just went to like tankathon.com
and went to the bottom.
Went to the top of the draft and was like, okay, you could trade me to this team, the Pacers, like literally any team that is.
Oh like, God, he would. Yeah, he screams like. I don't. The Pacer. He feels like such a Pacer if he wants to be the star of the show. Like, oh Jesus Christ! Send Malcolm Brogdon over to the Pistons.
Well, Malcolm Brogdon can't be traded right now.
I know he can't be traded.
He extended his contract as you. I know you're the resident.
To avoid going to Philly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I know they called him up last second and was like, "Are you sure you don't want to trade us Ben Simmons for Malcolm Brogdon?" But the Jeremy Grant thing just doesn't make any sense to me. So the last one that I had on here was Miles Bridges, who is also going to be a restricted free agent. And I said to the Kings person, Brendan Nunez, who I had on the podcast 2 weeks ago, and Deandre Ayton kind of falls in this camp too, where I'm like, restricted free agency isn't real. So these guys are either going to get traded for each other or they'll be moved in a sign and trade of some sort. Like guys that hit restricted free agency, whatever teams that are out there, they're not going to loop up all their cap space on a restricted free agent because the odds are he's just not going to fucking go there. Like he's like the team will just match it or they'll figure out something to keep the guy, whatever it is. So Miles Bridges and Deandre Ayton will both be restricted free agents this year. You could have both M Bridges on one team.
I was going to say, do you think that's some sort of like bonus effect, like how the Bucks continue to having brothers on the team? I know they're not related whatsoever, but do you think they have some sort of like synergistic effect where they both get better being around each other? It's kind of like
absolutely.
Hancock. It's like Hancock.
It'll be a tag team duo, the two M Bridges. Like, it's I mean, at least from a marketing look, Robert Sarver's a cheap piece of shit and he wants to make money. Marketing campaigns. M Bridges, both M Bridges on the same team. You could sell t-shirts. They could go on a press tour. Like, I think he'd like that idea. I think that one, if you do Miles Bridges for Deandre Ayton, which by the way, I don't think that Charlotte would do that at this point,
which is weird. Would rather trade PJ Washington, who kind of also fits the bill for them, but he's obviously not as good as Miles Bridges has been this year, but he plays like the small ball five and he kind of fits the role they're kind of looking for, but obviously you need to give up more.
He fits the PJ Tucker role that you're looking. Yeah. He fits the, why don't we get a guy who can shoot threes, is like a stout defender, a little bit smaller, but he can probably play small ball five. But at the same time, like, you're really gonna trade Deandre Ayton for PJ Washington? Like, I'm just like, I don't see that at all. And
Either do I. I was just thinking of guys who are, I know, because PJ Washington's available and would fit. Or do you think like I don't know if it's on there, the Magic do like a Mo Bamba for Deandre Ayton sort of swappy duty?
What was that word?
Swap-a-duty? I don't know what that is.
Swap-a-duty? Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, no, that's sticking. That's what the fuck. Swap-a-duty. Hey, it's
do the old
James Jones. I got an idea for a swap-a-duty. He's feeling confident.
John Hammond.
Extension. I mean, I think the Magic would be all over that. I think that Deandre Ayton, his value, you either have to get back someone like, to me, the only trade that makes sense is Miles Bridges for Deandre Ayton of all the trades. Like maybe John Collins, you could talk yourself into that. The big thing about John Collins is like, he did just get paid, but like his contract actually isn't that much. Like it's 125 million for the next 5 years. The Ayton Trey fit would be great if you could move on from Capella. I kind of like that idea if it could work.
I think the Hawks might already have their center though. Okongwu has been fucking awesome.
True. And the Hawks have the issue of having to pay everyone. They just moved Cam Reddish because they didn't want to pay him. So yeah,
they moved him to purgatory.
Well, yeah, I mean, they moved him to be the 11th man in Tim's rotation in New York.
He's not in the rotation, period. He's just vibing.
Well, he's being unlocked right now. That is what
future star Cam Reddish.
I mean, dude, he hit 5 threes in a playoff game once. Like, that's got to count for something.
6 or 7, I thought. It was an infinite number in that game 6 of that series that was trying to kill me.
Literally, he probably shot and made as many threes going into that game as he did in that game in his career. Also, they got rid of Cam Reddish because Cam Reddish isn't good.
What?
There's that too. There's that element of
also,
it.
Also, he wanted to be the guy also.
Which makes sense. So go to the New York Knicks who have 15 ball handlers. Great.
Yeah.
They're interested in Jalen Brunson, I heard today, which is you can't have 10 guys that all want the ball.
Well,
that's not how basketball works.
Well, at least they picked a good player this time.
True.
Jalen Brunson would be the best player on the Knicks, so I mean.
Well, he's the best player on the Mavs right now, so.
Okay, stop. Let's calm down.
Oh, hey, look.
Put the calculators away.
On-off numbers, I'm just saying. Philly legend.
The Luka Jalen Brunson on numbers with Kristaps off is so fucking funny. It's like 8 or 9 net rating. It's like, good Lord.
Yeah. Wait, no, I thought Kristaps have been really good this year.
It's better when he's off the court still with when Kristaps or Luka and Brunson just by themselves without Porzingis.
Well, that makes sense a little bit. I don't know. I heard that Porzingis has actually been good though. You know, your boy Jason Kidd's finally figured it out.
Jason Kidd is like a fucking mirage. When he shows up, he like, I don't know what he does on defense anymore, but he like, well, everyone will be like, oh shit, this team has fucking got a fucking solid defense. It'll just disappear next year. Swear to God of my life, because people will just watch it and figure it out, and then it'll never work again. I don't know.
There's something about a new coach. I don't know what it is that it just like works for like a year, and then if they suck, they just get figured out.
Unless they're Emu Duncan, then it's just over. Then you just suck.
Well, you know, he's really handsome and he has a hot wife.
So correct.
Why shouldn't he? He should just retire and focus on being a hot wife guy. I would if I were that good looking. I just would be like, I'm not going to work anymore. Nope.
Got a far too good looking to do a job.
So, maybe all the players are just jealous of him. That's why they don't listen to him because he's so handsome. It's possible. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But okay, so Deandre Ayton probably not going to get moved before the deadline.
No, I don't think so. But it's interesting that I mean, it makes sense too if they don't think they're gonna max him, that they should at least hear what's going on. Yeah.
Also, what will probably happen is he'll hit restricted free agency. He'll get a 4-year max offer from one of the few teams that has cap space, and then they'll just match that and they'll figure it out later.
I know I mentioned Thad Young. DeAndre Ayton feels like a Spur, doesn't he? He just feels like he should be a Spur.
I can see that. Little David Robinson, but not as good. I mean, I'm just like, I guess. I don't know. Like, to me, like, DeAndre Ayton's a great third guy to have on your team. If he's your best player, you're going nowhere.
What if, like, the Raptors offered, like, Siakam or like OG.
See, the OG thing that could make a little bit of sense to me.
I don't know if they do it, but like, I don't think the Raptors, of course, if they hear this, are going to attack me for even insinuating moving OG Anunoby. But
dude, they literally Raptors fans got mad at me last year because I said maybe we could get DeAndre Bembry in a Kyle Lowry trade if we lose like all of our depth to be like our 9th man. And there were Raptors fans that tweeted at me and were like, we're not trading you Bembry. And I'm like, really? He sucks. I don't even want him. We literally have to have players on the team.
Yeah. Like Siakam or like, I don't know if Siakam even moves the needle enough at this point. I mean, obviously Siakam's back to not being garbage anymore, but like,
right.
Is that enough of a name or like enough of a thing that you can talk yourself into Siakam? Like, I don't know.
He'd probably be better playing with Chris Paul. I think it's
Yeah.
safe to say that he'd be better playing with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. But at the same time, like, okay, so kind of back to the Miles Bridges thing and the OG Anunoby thing is like teams. First off, the Raptors overvalue their own guys so much. Like the Raptors don't make a trade for someone unless they're like clearly winning the trade. That's pretty much except for the
Kyle Lowry sign and trade. Yep.
Yeah, Precious Achua.
Do you want Tyler Herro or Precious Achua? Oh, I want Precious Achua. I want Iguodala.
So, well, I mean, I think if you think about it like this, Precious Achua is 21 years old and Kyle Lowry's like 34. So, I mean, I'd personally rather have the 21-year-old because he can get better, you know?
He's got a lot of work.
He's got a lot of work to be like a G League player.
Yeah.
To be honest. Precious Achua might be playing overseas by the end of his rookie contract. So, but there is something about like the Miles Bridges, OG Anunoby, like the idea of trading for a center who's probably not worth the max in most situations, and then having to max him, and also giving up OG Anunoby, who like, yeah, DeAndre Ayton's probably going to end up having a better career than OG Anunoby, or at least like maybe the same, but like,
nah, man, OG Anunoby's going to put it all together. I've been hearing this for years.
I know he's the next Kawhi. He's the next Kawhi, and also he's the next Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan in one person. Yes. Actually,
no, Fred VanVleet's Scott Canadian Michael Jordan, even though he's not Canadian.
Oh, okay. You know, he's Canadian Steph Curry. We figured. I mean, also,
okay.
Yeah. So we have figured out that like teams just don't like. Whenever I look around the trade market and I'm like, oh, we can get a wing, we can get like a guard. Like there just aren't wings out there. Like there's just no wings you can trade for. And if you can trade for them, they probably suck. Like they're just, I don't know. They're like Kelly Oubre or like someone that's like whatever, like a rotational wing. And like a
PJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker's more of like a big kind of like he can kind of do both. But like my point is,
wings, but anyway.
Yeah. But my point is that finding good wings is so hard and teams just overvalue them to the point where it's like, I don't even know if the Raptors would trade OG Anunoby for DeAndre Ayton.
I don't. Well, especially if they still have Boucher and Pat Siakam on the roster, I don't think they do it. If they're moving Siakam or something, then maybe.
And also, Masai has this little pet project where he's just going to make Fred VanVleet and every player on the roster has to be 6'8".
Yep.
6'8" wing / big.
He saw that old Reddit post where it's like, what if all the Warriors locked arms around Steph Curry when he shot?
He's like, we're going to do this with Fred VanVleet. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant strategy, honestly. Yeah, no, the Raptors are going to be a pain in the ass for years to come. They've always been a pain in my ass, even when they didn't have Kawhi. Like, they're just really annoying to play against. But, all right, let's move on from the slop up top that we had, and we're going to do the next thing, which everyone has tuned in for, which is Ben Simmons news. Once again, more stories coming out about Ben Simmons. I don't know what to believe. Like, I'm literally to the point where I feel like what's that?
Slop.
We love the slop, folks. And like, don't get me wrong, I love it, but I feel like the last week of information is like an acid trip, and I'm just trying to piece together everything because I just don't know what the fuck to believe and what not to believe. Everyone's lying right now. Everyone from every side and every front office is just leaking shit to try to gain leverage and do whatever. And the latest thing is that the Sixers might really be willing to hold on to Ben Simmons until the offseason on the chance that they could get James Harden from the Brooklyn Nets. This makes no fucking sense to me. I'm just going to leave it at that. Just makes no fucking sense to me at all.
I mean, from everything a certain friend of the pod and I have heard, it's a hot, unless the Nets basically win the title, It's highly likely that if the Sixers' avenue is open, he ends up on the Sixers.
I
But
know. I'm
I
not
know.
saying that I'm not saying that I don't know that information. What I'm saying is, how the fuck do the Sixers get to the point where they can do that?
Tampering.
Yeah, okay, so do you just try to like hold the Brooklyn Nets hostage? Like, okay, so let's say we get to the offseason. Let's say Ben Simmons does not get traded at the deadline. Let's just say like the deadline passes, the offer, they didn't like the offers, whatever. Daryl Morey has his dark twisted fantasy and he wants to get to the offseason so that he can get 33 going on 34-year-old James Harden on a 5-year max contract, or 4-year max contract would be the longest we could get him for. Why would the Nets do this? Because in the past, you could say the situation we just brought up with Kyle Lowry and with where he gets traded for much less, he gets traded for Dragic and Precious Achua and like a second round pick or some shit. Well, the reason they did that is because there were two teams, the Pelicans and the Mavericks, who had cap space that made big offers to Kyle Lowry. And you could at least in theory say, oh, he might go to the Mavericks. No one's going to go to the Pelicans, but he could go to the Mavericks and we could be sitting here with nothing, which they pretty much ended up with anyway.
Also a little different. Like this is not exactly the same situation. Like Kyle Lowry's like the face of that, like beloved icon of that franchise. So obviously they want to work with it. Where do you want to go? Like we'll help you get there.
James Harden is the face of the Brooklyn Nets. They're soulless franchise that.
No, that's the whole article. He's not the face of the franchise. You don't like it.
I know he wants to be the guy, and it's funny because if the thing that he really desires, like there's a bunch of shit in there about taxes and weather, which by the way, we got shitty taxes and weather here too. I will go full libertarian if it means we can get James Harden this summer. And
what you need to do,
we should get rid of the city wage tax and all that shit. But
if you are the Philadelphia mayor, is you institute a new urban and housing development project on refinancing and rebuilding all of the strip clubs in Philadelphia to be the finest facilities you've ever seen, and pump all the city's money into rebuilding the strip clubs.
Habitat for Delilah's, which is you don't know that reference, but Delilah is one of the biggest strip clubs here. And James Harden would love it, I'm sure. He has connections to the ownership group, all that shit. Like Mayor Kenny, if you are listening, I think he's still the mayor. Everyone hates our mayor. He's done a lot of shitty things. I mean, everyone hates every mayor, right? There's not like a beloved mayor somewhere that I'm not thinking of.
Only on sitcoms.
Yeah, right. Usually it's like, oh, there's the guy that is a piece of shit. We all hate him. Oh, cool. So, Mayor Kenny, if you are listening, please eliminate the city wage tax. Make it so that the Sixers don't, or make it so that the Sixers could just dodge taxes and be a haven in Delaware. They don't have to pay taxes on anything there. So, but just let them temporarily relocate so we can get James Harden on this tax-free shit that he got in Texas. And but like back to the whole point of the James Harden thing, like the article is like, well, he doesn't like the weather there. I'm like, well, Philly's the same fucking weather as New York. We're an hour and a half away. That doesn't make a difference. Okay, the taxes are not New York taxes, but they're not great here. We're still like a major city with some pretty shitty taxes. And like, if your main goal is to just be like, get all of your income, like that's not going to be the case here. And on top of that, you have the fact that like he wants to be the guy, and like he's not going to be the guy here either.
Well, it's so that whole article from Jake Fisher, which obviously he's a credited reporter. I'm not going to, but who is leaking the weather and tax? Like it's either Harden's like camp trying to come up with the excuses for him to like work his way out of Brooklyn, which is in nonsense that they just can't say the Kyrie stuff, which they just like hint at the Kyrie stuff. Like Kyrie pisses him off. Kyrie's status as a part-time player is how I believe it was cordially worded. And all that stuff. Or it's more
instead of being like Kyrie's an insane person and James Harden doesn't want to be around him.
it's like or it's like Maury's like, he doesn't like the weather and the
Sure.
taxes. Like what is like? Okay, I don't know. Like it feels like that. Like the source mandated that had to be in the article, right? Because it's like, if you're writing this article, what the hell are you putting that in for? Like, you don't
Yes.
need to put any of that in there for. Like,
Well, also, just want to point this out there. You told me this like a week ago. All this, like most of
yeah,
this stuff.
I know.
Like the tax stuff is out there, but it's just like a funny reason. Like at a certain point, when you make like $50 million a year, are you really worried about like the $2 million in taxes you're losing?
Well,
I'm like,
he might be a cheapskate. He doesn't have an agent. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
I did find that out today, that he doesn't have an agent and that he's basically in the process. They're like trying to like get someone certified by the league. So that's Jake Fisher said that like basically they're working with the players union to get like some random guy. Like, yeah, if we trust this guy with my money.
Hey, it's
So
gonna be Agent Lil Baby coming in.
yeah, this is really fucking strange. I don't know what the hell is going on with the situation, but like I do think that there's a few different elements at play here. The main one is that like the thing that I heard 2 months ago was the Nets don't know if they want to pay him. And that's where all this comes from. Like the Nets are like, do we really want to give a 33-year-old James Harden, who's going to be 38 at the end of his contract, the biggest contract in NBA history,
5,270, baby.
more than Giannis,
Yep.
more than Steph,
More than Bradley
and, like,
Beal.
well, I mean, to be fair, Bradley Beal is, the GOAT, obviously.
Yeah,
He's
obviously.
the best top 25 player in the NBA, who gets paid like a top will be paid like a top 5 player this
with
offseason.
Harden not having his own agent, like that leak has to come from like Harden, right? That he's not getting paid. Like I think we know that. We can pretty much
He's
deduce.
just hitting up Jake Fisher.
Yeah, like it's externally putting pressure on the Brooklyn Nets to pay him. So like, obviously that is coming from Harden or someone in his camp, that he's not getting the 270 and he's not happy about it. Like,
right. That's really what it comes down to, is that I think that he's worried he's not going to get his money. And if he doesn't get his full contract, then he's like, then what the fuck am I staying here for? The point was to come here, try to win championships and make the most fucking money I can. And now a bunch of it's getting taken away in taxes and blah, 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 blah. Are the Sixers being used for leverage once again in a James Harden situation? It sounds like it is to me.
Porter, I just want you to know, if they don't get Harden and he doesn't get traded after the deadline, I'm sorry. Like your podcast is gonna have all the listeners because you're gonna be having a live mental breakdown.
I'm doing a stream on the trade deadline. You will literally see my body leave, or my soul leave my body, if they do not trade him on the trade deadline.
The trade deadline's always it's like at 2 p.m. or something, isn't it? It's like at a really weird time.
Yeah, I'm going to become the fucking... All right, well, maybe not. I was going to say I'm going to become the Ted Kaczynski, but maybe let's not go that far. I don't want to get arrested.
Joker, baby.
I don't want to get arrested. Parody, satire. I'm not going to become the Unabomber.
I forget who originally wrote this article about like the problem with like Sam Hinkie and his similar thinking GMs is like they think like spreadsheets and not like human people.
Absolutely.
That's what's like going on with the Morey thing. Like you literally are like holding Ben Simmons hostage at this point. Like
we have been.
Yeah, I know, but like if we're gonna like, we're just gonna hold you hostage until the end of the year now so we can get James Harden. It's just like, come on, man. Like this is ridiculous.
It's psychotic. There's no other way to describe it. It's like, it's just completely unhinged. And I keep hearing, it's actually the smartest thing if you can get James Harden. And I'm like, why do these two things have to be completely related? Because it's like, if you trade Ben Simmons, okay, so let's just think about it like this. The Nets have no incentive to send James Harden to Philly for Ben Simmons, who's a worse player than James Harden, even with all of James Harden's issues. And like, You can get into contract stuff like, well, you'd only have to pay Ben like 30 something. You have to pay Harden like almost 50 to start. And then you're going up and up and up. And like, I get all that, but like the idea that the Nets have to trade him is not true, because you go, who are the teams that have cap space this summer? There's the Detroit Pistons, the Orlando Magic, and the San Antonio Spurs. And by the way, none of them will even have enough cap space. Maybe the Detroit Pistons, but otherwise, I don't think there's any team that has enough cap space to just flat out sign James Harden. And if that's the case, then the Sixers can't go, well, he's going to leave for nothing. He's just going to go to Detroit. Like, he's not fucking going to Detroit. So your options are try to clear for the cap space now. You could trade Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris to the Kings for maybe Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Harrison Barnes. Try to flip those two for picks and expiring contracts like Gary Harris to the Orlando Magic, or to
Terrence Ross of the Orlando Magic.
Just anyone. Just they have literally every expiring contract.
Robin Lopez. Mobamba.
Just an entire team of expiring contracts. But like, that would make more sense to me. Or trying to acquire John Collins in a trade, who makes like, he's going to make like almost 10 million less than Ben Simmons next year. And then you can like have a little bit more flexibility. Like, you need to try to gain a pathway to cap space so you can threaten to be like, hey, we're actually going to create enough cap space to just sign James Harden. And if you have Ben Simmons going into the offseason, you basically have to hope Detroit or San Antonio or one of those teams just is like, yeah, we'll take him just for picks. That's your only option, really. Like, I don't know if that's going to happen. If those teams are like, no, we want to go in another direction, then you're kind of fucked. And like, okay, maybe you could get one team to take on Tobias Harris this summer, but okay, so is literally this summer the cap space in the NBA is just going to be taking on Ben Simmons, taking on Tobias Harris, and then there's like one team with cap space, and that's it.
Well, you could always theoretically, if James Harden opts out of his contract, you could do a sign and trade with the Spurs, I think, and send Ben
just
Simmons.
Have him wait there.
Send Ben Simmons to the Spurs for James Harden.
No, but the Nets would still have to agree to that.
Would they?
If James Harden opts into his contract?
No, if he opts out and then sign, can you sign and trade with someone else like that doesn't have your bird rights?
Okay,
I don't know how sign and trades work.
So you can create a trade exception for if you just salary dump Ben Simmons to the Spurs, which by the way, they have $20 million. They have a road to $20 million in cap space this summer.
Oh, so never mind.
Ben Simmons makes $35 million next year. Like, you would have to create a little bit more. They would have to send back some money. And then from there, if you still have Tobias Harris on the books, you'd have to find a place for him to move. Like, the best move right now. And I know that there are people out there that are like, well, like, what if Brooklyn just gets to the point where they're like, we don't want to give him the money, and we don't want to give him the money, and we don't want him here because he's going to be unhappy. Then maybe they'll just gladly take back Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons would be the best player ever traded in a sign and trade. And I'm like, that's a big fucking risk, dude. Oh yeah, we just want to send our second best player to go play for a team in the Eastern Conference with the player that might be on the same level as our best player.
Yay.
Like, what? What are we doing here? Who, like all the people that are like, this is the smart move. I'm like, you literally just think in numbers, I guess. You don't take human emotions into the fact that like, we're going to be holding a player hostage. Yeah, every player in the NBA is going to want to come play for us after we hold a player hostage for an entire fucking season. They're going to love it. They're going to be like, trade me to Philly. I want to go sign with Philly. If Daryl Morey is, like, basically like can't trade me, he'll just hold me against my will. This is fucking insane, dude.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. Psychopath shit.
It is. It's literally psychopath shit. And the idea that like, it's like, of course I would love to have James Harden on the Sixers as our second best player. Like, at this point, he's already regressing a little bit. I'd be worried about the money, but also like, fuck it. You've burnt every other bridge. You don't have options. Dame's not asking out. Beal's not asking out. you're fucked. You have to just get the best player you can. I'm totally fine with that. But in this scenario, it just makes no sense. If I were the Sixers and there were a possibility that you could get a prospect like Tyrese Halliburton, or maybe there's someone out there that I'm not thinking of on a rookie contract to create that cap space and flexibility for the summer, then I would do that and try to sign James Harden. But just holding on to Ben Simmons and like possibly not even moving Tobias Harris at the deadline, and like you got to try to move him for expirings or trade him to a team like the Kings who have guys who teams actually want, like Harrison Barnes. Like I've heard no one wants Tobias Harris, by the way. Like there's not a single team in the NBA.
There was a little slop nugget left behind a couple hours ago that said the Spurs might be in the Tobias Harris market, but
that's so weird because for years Marty Teller has been trying to get Tobias to he does feel like I mean DeMar's better than him, don't get me wrong, but like DeMar just like kind of like holding down the fort there for a few years while they were just like super mid. Like Tobias could be the worst version of that.
But my question is, how many
best player in the NBA?
How many years does Tobias have on his deal?
2 after this one.
2 more? Like Pop's not going to be there for 2 more years. Like
right.
They're only maintaining this level of like bullshit credibility, aka get like the 10th seed every year. So Pop can get the all-time wins record, and I just like the Spurs. I don't know if they're ever going to full tank again unless Tim Duncan 2's in the draft. But like,
no, they're going to do the Raptors thing where they just like try to like remain competitive. Yeah. And like develop their guys like Devin Vassell, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, like
Keldon Johnson.
Like they just literally like people. Anytime people bring up Spurs trade targets, I'm like, why are we doing this? They don't trade their guys ever. Like literally, the only time they've traded their guy was when their guy came to them and was like, "Trade me immediately. I hate it here." Other than that, they have not traded anyone until their contract is up when they did the sign and trade with DeMar. And like, he wasn't even their guy. They didn't draft him.
Yeah, I'm expecting, well, Thad Young, of course, wants out. And
right.
My question is, who is going to Thad Young makes $16 million.
So I thought you were going to call him Sad Young.
Oh, well, he is Sad Young
sad
right now. Sad Young is Ben Simmons. It's like
NBA we heard sad boy. Mental health is very serious. We take it seriously here at the You Know Ball podcast. Ben Simmons, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Jesus fucking Christ.
Like I don't
like who's because of a basketball game.
Right, who's going to trade? Who's going to trade for Thad Young? Is my like
that's what you've been thinking about.
Yeah, it's because I want Thad Young and the Bucks on a buyout. Obviously, is what I've been.
Of course,
like it's like Spurs. Like they're like, we're going to work with them in finding a destination. It's like, okay.
Anytime that happens, that means you're getting bought out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Thad Young is a valuable player, but not on $16 million a year. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean. Here's the thing. Are there teams out there that could use Thad Young? Absolutely. Thad Young's still like a solid rotation player in the NBA.
He should be on a contender. And
for sure. 100%.
What kind of contender can send out $16 million in salary?
Exactly. Like, is Utah going to trade Joe Ingles for him? Probably not. I'm just trying to think of like random, like maybe if the Suns could scrap together like Dario Saric and I don't know, like someone else on their roster that just has like tradable salary on there.
Landry Shamet.
No, Jalen Smith.
I think they got I think part of also another possible reason they want to deal Ayton is that because he's been playing really well for them. Like
Jalen Smith?
Yeah.
Well, they're really fucked. They can't bring him back. If he plays well, they're screwed.
Yeah.
They literally can't offer him more than like $6 million now.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't pick up his option.
Yeah, it's the Sixers with Furka and Korkmaz. They did the same
thing. Maybe the
Bucks
should get Jalen Smith. Ooh. Anyway.
Stay woke.
Yeah, except we can't offer him anything besides the minimum. So.
Well, I think that if Jalen Smith, I think he'll get traded before the deadline just because like they literally can't bring him back because Robert Sarver was like, I need more money for hookers. Clearly, there's something going on there where Robert Sarver was like, I need more money to donate to Sheriff Joe Arapaho's campaign.
Well, this is his third year, right? This is the first time I've ever heard his like this season's the only time I've ever seen him like play basketball. Like, did he spend a year hurt, or did he just suck for 2 years and then just figured it out all of a sudden? Like,
So is it his third year? No, I think it's his second year. That's the thing.
oh, what?
It's his second year. He got drafted ahead of Tyrese Halliburton and Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, God, yeah, you're right. Jesus Christ.
He's only in his second season. That's why everyone was like, they didn't pick up his third year option. What? You just spent a top 10 pick on this guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Jesus Christ.
So in theory, like, okay, maybe San Antonio, because if San Antonio gets him, I think the problem once again is I'm pretty sure even if you trade for Jalen Smith and he plays really well, you can still only offer him like $8 million or whatever it is next year, which, I mean, I don't think a lot of teams out there are going to be dying to get Jalen Smith at more than $8 million. So at least you could like, it's only like 125% more than what they would have got. So it might be like $6 million. I'm not even really sure. But the Sixers had this issue with Furkan Korkmaz a few years ago.
Or it's the Bobby Portis, where you sign the 1-and-1, and then you have early birds, then you can actually make money.
And then you can make your money on your next contract. Something like that could happen with him. Like, I think he'll probably just be used for salary at this deadline. And like the Suns, Thad Young makes a lot of sense on the Suns. He could maybe be that.
I would not like that. I would not like that.
Well, I'm sorry. I do probably think, like you said, like when I heard they were like, oh, we're looking for a destination for Paul Millsap, I was like, Paul Millsap, buyout coming soon. That never ever works, ever.
And I was like, who is trading for Paul Millsap?
Also, you just gave away all your leverage. Hey, we don't want this guy anymore, by the way.
I legitimately was like, well, he's better than Semi. And people were like, are you sure? Which, yes, I am. But it's just like...
Paul Millsap, at least at one point in time, was a very good basketball player.
Yeah, and I was like, well, he does have the Bud connection, and he can't be worse than Semi, but, like, you know, I still... Yeah.
That should be his new nickname, because he really is maybe the worst player.
His nickname should be unemployed. His nickname should...
All right, so moving on to some other stuff. The Hornets were interested in Ben Simmons. I don't think there's anything real there. I think Daryl Morey's probably just like, hey, this team's also interested. What are they going to send us? Kelly Oubre? All right, I'm good. I'm fine. I don't want Gordon Hayward, even though I think I would love to take Gordon Hayward for Tobias Harris. But if Gordon Hayward were the centerpiece in a Ben Simmons trade, I would kill myself live on air.
What if you got Miles Bridges and Gordon Hayward?
Then I would be absolutely thrilled. I'd be pumped. Yeah. I like Miles Bridges a lot. I mean, I don't know if he's going to end up being what the Sixers need, but he's a good. But they're just going to value him too much. Like,
and then you're going to have to pretend to like his rap. I know we've had that
discussion. Oh no! Yeah, I know. And then I'm going to look so uncool because I'm like a washed 30-something-year-old white guy who's like hating on Miles Bridges' Detroit rap, which like everyone likes. So I need to avoid that situation entirely.
Everyone, all of our friends do drugs except Miles. He doesn't do it.
Miles is clean and sober, baby. Everyone else is sipping on lean here, though. So, all right, this is just for comedic effect. The Lakers have... Oh, I just want to bring up a little story I had at work. I just want to let everyone know how sick I am when it comes to this trade deadline shit. Like, I haven't been outside in like 3 days. Like, I don't... Like, people say touch grass. I haven't seen grass in like a week. Like, I just don't go outside. Like, I literally just spend all day on the trade machine, thinking of ideas, doing all this shit as the deadline comes up. So at work the other day, someone goes, did you hear about the Lakers trying to get Jeremy Grant? And I said, no. And then they said, yeah. I said, what was the offer? And then I said, wait, was it Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, and the 2027 first round pick? And they were like, yes, that was exactly it. How the fuck did you know that? Like, I was like, oh, well, the salary matching in my head. Talen Horton-Tucker makes $9 million. Kendrick Nunn makes like $5 million, and then the first round pick is the only asset they have. And they were like, yeah, that's kind of disturbing that you know all that information off the top of your head. And I was like, I'm a sick person. I don't know what else to tell you. But they apparently have tried to offer this to every team in the NBA.
I would just love to like pick like someone goes like I feel like I heard these ridiculous rumors of the Westbrook for Wall trade and that
Oh yeah.
expanding out of control. And I did hear that Houston asked for Taylor Horton Tucker, and that's where the talks ended for the time being, which is just the funniest.
Who is Taylor Horton Tucker?
I haven't. Like,
Is he real? Is this a real person?
Iowa State legend. My my dad.
What's his
Yeah.
best stat? The fact that he's 21 years old?
Best thing about Taylor Horton Tucker is that THT is a good initials.
He's got a really catchy nickname. He's 21 and he has long arms. So
He did.
hard to say.
He's on an exact amount of money that can be. Remember, they kept Taylor Horton Tucker over Alex Caruso, who they make the same amount of money.
They could have traded Taylor Horton Tucker for Kyle Lowry.
Yep.
And they said, no, like, don't get me wrong. I know that Raptors fans got really mad when we didn't trade for Kyle Lowry, but Tyrese Maxey is really good. Like we didn't trade a good prospect for him. Taylor Horton Tucker has done literally nothing. Why? Like, it was a stupid thing at the time, and it's a disaster now. And I just want to say, shout out to Jay Williams for the greatest soundbite in the history of the NBA, which is when your boy Giannis Antetokounmpo took his Supermax, said he didn't know if they would be able to beat the Lakers because the Lakers are stacked, and Taylor Horton Tucker had like 20 points in 2 preseason games.
Yeah, it's. You ever feel like, so you know the old like philosophy where it's like you can the only person you can prove is sentient is yourself, and you can't prove anyone else around you is actually sentient. It's like
Okay.
I feel like everyone else is like the media has like been psyoped, or they're like not conscious robots, and that we are just trying to comprehend their brains. Like the Taylor Horton Tucker propaganda is there ever been a player or a prospect
as bad as him
that is propped up as this like future? Oh wait, it's Cam Reddish.
Ooh,
this
I'm at least Cam Reddish can hit a 3 every once in a while. Like, at least Cam Reddish had a good game at some point in his NBA career. Like, that's the difference, is that Cam Reddish at least was very, very good in high school. Like, Taylor Horton Tucker, like, Dave McMenamin should be in political prison for what he was pushing out there during all of this shit. Ramona Shelburne, like, all of them were like, Taylor Horton Tucker, the next great thing. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this guy sucks.
Clutch Mafia,
baby. No sense. Absolutely. It's literally just Lakers state media. It's just insane shit. But now they are stuck with him because he's not good. And like, here's the thing. Maybe THT in like 3 or 4 years could become like a good rotation player in the NBA and like figure some things out or whatever. You have LeBron James at 37 years old. You should have traded this guy the second you could to try to get back Kyle Lowry, Jeremy Grant, whoever was your target at the time. You should have just fucking taken that. And like, talks broke down. And the John Wall thing is like, I mean, I get that. Like, I wouldn't want John Wall, but I also wouldn't want Russell Westbrook.
Not a top 75 point guard in the NBA.
He's just sliding down. He's going to be a top 30 point guard in Greece next year.
I don't know, man. Georgios Katsiakis is going to have that shit locked down.
So let's just talk a little bit about the Wall for Westbrook thing, because I had that here on my list. Has there ever been a trade where a player gets traded? Russell Westbrook was traded to the Washington Wizards. Wall was sent to the Houston Rockets. The Rockets got a first-round pick to take on John Wall. And now they're asking for a first-round pick to take on Russell Westbrook for John Wall. They literally just got 2 free first-round picks, if that were to happen.
Yeah, as a player, I don't know. I don't think a player's ever been traded for each other twice in a row. Like, that's just insane.
At least max players, no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, these are like the convincing small market teams to never sign the supermax.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Like this
no,
is what goes wrong.
100%.
I love how the Wizards though are just like immediately like sign us up again, baby. Bradley Beal, here's your supermax. Come on down. Like
Yeah, we will never learn our lesson. We will never
never
learn.
change. We will never improve. I'm a
I
bad bitch
Our
with
promise
terrible
as an
taste.
organization is to never get better. What an
Like,
inspiring thing to tell your fan base. But like, if you were the Lakers, would you do that? Would you just be like, fuck it, let's just give up our first round pick and THT or whatever with Westbrook just to get, because the Westbrook thing has gone incredibly wrong. And we all knew this was going to happen. Everyone
oh
knew
yeah,
it
no,
that had a
I knew
brain.
it in 2019.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. You predicted it before it was even the trade was even fucking made a year before.
yeah,
So, like, would you do that for John Wall? Like, John Wall has barely played basketball for like 4 years.
yeah. Like, I don't. I mean, obviously, you want to work. I don't know if you can even get permission to work John Wall out, but you
You
got to
could,
see.
you could
Yeah,
ask them. Yeah,
like you got to at least like see if his body works, and then
it's pretty
like,
important.
yeah, like Russell Westbrook is literally the worst player in the NBA right now. So like, except for Taylor Horton Tucker's
And Semi Ojeleye. Yeah, those
and Semi Ojeleye,
and
big
Charlie Brown
three.
Jr. is on the Sixers. Yeah, the big three.
Like, put those three on a team together. You don't know what's gonna happen. It's not gonna be basketball, but something's gonna happen. That's beautiful.
Yeah, the
Uh,
vibes will be chaotic.
the loudest bricks around the world. You could build an entire stadium.
Have you
Um,
seen that
the
fucking
Westbrook clip.
montage?
Oh yeah, which one?
No, it's literally every time he shoots and it just hits off the top of the backboard. It's
Yeah,
happened like 15 times. I'm like, how do you even do this?
yeah. It's like Russell Westbrook. Like he has to. Like they think it's like he has to go, but it's like John Wall is the like John Wall's obviously just like the best you can do. Like
He's the only one that will match his salary. I mean, unless you can. I did come up with a trade that I don't think that any team would do. I do. This is just me thinking from my sick process hinky brain going on right now. But the Lakers get Derek Favors and Tobias Harris. The Thunder get Russell Westbrook and the Lakers 2027 first round pick. They could buy out Russ after that because they don't want Russ back in OKC. I think they just do him a favor and be like, get the fuck out of here. And then the Sixers get Kendrick Nunn, who we would then cut because I don't want any domestic abusers on the team. Taylor Horton Tucker, who once again probably sucks, but you're just doing this to get off the Tobias Harris contract.
yeah.
And Sixers legend Mike Muscala, who has a racist dad that we could get rid of him too.
And he's actually like decent at basketball. He's like the best.
He's
player
actually
in the
kind of
trade.
good. Yeah,
He's the best player in the trade.
Yeah, he's like Mike Muscala. He's good for 15 minutes a game of just like shooting 43s in 15 minutes, which is really what the Sixers need.
No, Tobias Harris is probably actually the best player in that trade.
He is. I think so.
Like, oh god, like that Lakers 2027 first would be a gold mine of an asset if it was any team besides the Lakers.
True. Yeah, because they'll just get like Tatum will go there.
They'll sign Tatum and LaMelo Ball or some bullshit because they're the fucking Lakers. Like if it were like, I don't know, like the non-Buck, like because Bucks have Giannis. Like if you know what I mean though, like an age like a Phoenix 2027 first round pick.
Oh, absolutely,
worth way more than a Lake, because this is like the most valuable it's ever going to be is right now. Like
it's not looking good for the Lakers in the next few years.
Everything, but like reality tells us like the Lakers can only be bad for like 4 years before they pull some bullshit.
Yep.
The small market, like it's a bailout. It's just like, yeah, like Taylor Horton. It's literally like Kendrick Nunn. Who has he played this year yet?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, like, well, fuck him. I hope he has more injuries.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Taylor Horton Tucker's a bad at basketball guy. And
yes, this is different, not morals. That's I'd keep THT.
Yeah, like if
who
you
cares?
Can't,
We're punting on this year anyway. Who gives a shit?
If you can't get the Pistons to buy in on your lottery pick, like not a lottery pick, but like Taylor Horton Tucker lottery and the 2027 first, you're not going to get a single team to like if you can't get Jeremy Grant for that, like no team is gonna like take it. Like,
well, it seems like I don't know if the Pistons are just posturing right now, or if Jeremy Grant really is just like, I don't want to go to these teams, don't send me there, and they're actually like abiding by that because he does not want to go to the Lakers because he knows he'll be the third option there. But also like you're playing with LeBron James. Like I don't know. That seems like a pretty good guy to be behind, but whatever.
and
Uh
if the fourth guy, like Malik Monk, is like all of a sudden everywhere and talking about getting like a huge salary. Like, he's been playing fine, like, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
but he's on the Lakers, so that was a smart business move by Malik Monk. He was like, all I have to do is just go to the Lakers and I'll hit a bunch of threes and Lakers state media will fucking parade me around like I'm literally Steph Curry and I'll get $20 million in free agency next year. But once again, there's no cap space, folks. So I don't know where that money's coming from.
Malik
But
Monk to the Pistons, baby.
he was born to be a Detroit Piston. I could
Yes,
absolutely see that.
Cade
By the
kicking out
way,
to
like
Malik Monk.
I understand that Malik Monk is like playing really well right now, and like I wanted the Sixers to take a shot on him this offseason. But at the same time, if you're the Lakers and you can get a player like Jeremy Grant, like, and the thing is, Jeremy Grant doesn't want to play there. I guess that really is the big hold
Yep.
up there. But like, you give up Malik Monk to get Jeremy Grant. Like, he's clearly better than Malik Monk. But my whole thing here is like the Pistons seems like they just keep turning down offers for Jeremy Grant. They seem to have their eyes on these like bigger targets like Patrick Williams, who they really liked in the draft last year.
And
They really
Fisher
want to
just said that he's off the Patrick Williams is off the table for any Jeremy Grant deal. So that's
exactly. And so I'm like, are the Pistons so I don't know if this is just like a trend that I've noticed, but it does feel like every team is just like all these smaller markets, these mid-sized markets are like, no, we really like our guys. And unless we fucking like the Houston Rockets, like have gotten a ton of offers for Eric Gordon. And I know they're not a small market, but like they're kind of functioning like one right
yep.
now. Like it just seems like all these middle-sized markets and like these like not like contending teams right now are just being like super stingy with all of their guys that they have, and like they don't want to trade them unless they get a fucking haul. Like they're just like completely overvaluing them to the point where they would just rather let their contract expire than get something back or like trade them this summer. Like
If they don't do the Wall deal, I wonder if the Rockets you do like the THT is obviously the golden asset, but THT the
Eric
Melon and
Gordon,
yeah, that feels like that's a deal
that would make that makes a lot of sense. Like Eric Gordon to the Lakers makes sense to me. He's
yeah,
been on good teams. He can shoot. He can drive. He can kind of defend. I don't
he's
really know. I haven't.
miserable.
Yeah, he's got he might have seasonal depression. Maybe getting out to although Houston has good weather. I don't know, but no, I think he would be good there. I think that like it's kind of sad that I look at this deadline and I'm like, if Ben Simmons doesn't get moved, like this is kind of how the deadline works every year, where we're like DeAndre Ayton, Ben Simmons, like these big names, and then we get to the deadline and it's like the best player move was Harrison Barnes, and you're like, great, cool. I mean, like Harrison Barnes is a fine player, but like not the most exciting guy out there. So right now, the Rockets have turned down offers for Eric Gordon, and the Heat are interested in Christian Wood, who like,
Sure.
why? Like, don't get me wrong. I
Bam
think
and Christian Wood, two-headed monster. Bucks by 40.
like, isn't your whole thing like everyone like gets a like everyone works really hard and gets along and like does like the culture like that bullshit that they parade out there that's fascist propaganda or whatever. Like Christian Wood literally is like moping in the middle of games and like just like dribbling the ball out of bounds and whining about his role and getting touches and shit like that. Like I think Christian Wood could be good on like the Kings or like a team that's just like middling and like just needs to like maybe have some more good players. But like if you're a contender like Miami, what the fuck interest do you have in Christian Wood?
Like, yeah, it's like Lowry, Harrow, Butler, Tucker, Adebayo, and Christian Wood. Like, we're like
It's a lot of talent.
It's a lot of talent and like 12% from three. Like,
True, except for here. And now they're talking about moving Duncan Robinson, which is something that I was going to bring up on here because Spo has went into his closet full of white shooters and pulled them out.
yeah.
Hey,
Kyle
I got a new one. Max Strus, here he is. He's gonna get $20 million in 2 years.
It's like the Miami Heat must have like one of the best scouting departments in the NBA, but like one of the
For sure.
worst GMs. Like it's like, oh yeah, we have to give Duncan Robinson $590, but we have 3 guys who can do exactly what Duncan Robinson does. Like
Right. Miami always, and then Zach Lowe will get on his podcast and be like, Miami just always figures out a way. I'm like, yeah, because they're like the Lakers. They have the biggest margin for error ever because they're in Miami. They don't have fucking state taxes. They have the Miami nightlife, and then also Spo is the best coach in the NBA. Like, so, like, I don't know. Pat Riley seems like he has the easiest fucking job in America to me. Literally, what does he do?
He does cocaine. That's what he does.
He does cocaine, and he looks like Michael Douglas in Wall Street. He's really good at those 2 things.
And putting rings on a table, I guess.
That's yeah, count the rings, baby. That's how I imagine Pat Riley talks, even though he's Irish, not Italian. So Christian Wood, like, yeah, whatever. He's talented, and like, he just, to me, bad vibes. A year ago, you could have talked me into Christian Wood for the Sixers. Now, I don't want any of those vibes near the team. I think that vibes matter too much. I'm seeing it firsthand with Daryl Morey and Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers. Like, I don't need the negative vibe. Like, I need positive vibes coming to the team.
I know, like, Sixers fans, at least in our Discord, is like Tobias Harris is like the worst good or good worst player in the NBA. I think that's Christian Wood.
No, they all think he sucks.
Oh, well, I think Christian Wood is the good worst player in the, like, the best worst player in the
bad
NBA.
Player in the
best
NBA?
bad player. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Christian Wood. I think that's a good way to put it. Like, every time that, like, Christian Wood, like, I watch him, I'm like, yeah, he's pretty talented. Like, he's, he's energetic. He catches lobs. He can shoot a little bit. But he also does like 5 of the dumbest things I've ever seen a player do in a game. And then he gets mad like all the time, and like has been on, like, he's doing the Kevin Ollie, Jeff Green tour of duty as he played for you guys at one point. He played for the Pelicans. He played for us. He finally figured it out in Detroit. And then they were like, we're good, like, just go to another team and they'll figure it out. His contract's really good. I mean, he makes $13 million a year. He's definitely better than $13 million a year. But as you said, the best bad player, like, he'll be a good player on a bad team and probably not really contribute to a contender.
Do you remember when his contract first came out and everyone was like insulted how low it was?
We were like, is that wrong?
Yeah, I remember the Woj bomb, and then like another Woj bomb, like, the Christian Wood deal is not finalized with the Rockets, and then he just got like $12 more million. It was like,
yeah, he was gonna make like what, 824. It was like 8 per year for 3 years, $24 million, right? And then they were like, oh, by the way, we gave him more money. You know why that happened? I'm pretty sure that it was illegal because it happened before the draft, I think, or like, it was like some weird thing where like they technically couldn't have made the trade. Like, he would have only been able to sign for them with the MLE. They couldn't have done the sign-in trade at that point. So they waited a few days later to like announce the deal again. It was very strange. But yeah, Christian Wood, I don't know. He's just, I don't want those vibes.
He's been available for years. He's been available since Harden left.
Yes, he's been available. He got cut by a team in China because he was such an asshole. Like, no, I'm good. Talented player, but I'm chilling. I watch him go to the Lakers and like be a contributor, and they win the title.
Better than Anthony Davis.
Yeah. KOC called him the poor man's Anthony Davis a few years ago. Maybe the rich man's Anthony Davis. Maybe the 1% Anthony Davis. The current version, at least. So, all right. The Mavs are interested in Marcus Smart and John Collins. Okay.
Fine.
Sure.
I mean, the Mavs were interested in John Collins in free agency. I thought that was the thing.
They were, and then they just didn't do anything because restricted free agency is fake. It's not real.
If the Celtics somehow traded Marcus Smart for Jalen Brunson, I think I would break something. Like,
why? Because you like Jalen Brunson so much?
Jalen Brunson is so much better than Marcus Smart. It'd be like, what are you either of you doing? Like,
yeah, I mean,
Marcus Smart is such a Jason Kidd player. Holy fuck, it makes so much sense.
And like,
he doesn't shoot. He shoots threes poorly, and he plays defense. He loves to post up. He's the perfect Jason Kidd player. It makes so much sense.
I mean, like, he's good. Like, I've always felt like Marcus Smart was overrated because he plays for the Celtics, but like underrated by the general NBA fan base because everyone thinks he sucks. Like, he's good. Like, he's fine. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'd probably rather have Jalen Brunson. Yeah, Jalen Brunson's been really fucking good. And like, right now is probably the best backup point guard in the NBA. Should probably be a starting point guard for some team. Very, very, he's good. And like, it was very obvious he was going to be good. It was stupid as hell that he fell to the second round. It will never make any sense to me. It's teams overvaluing young players instead of just drafting the sure thing, which Jalen Brunson clearly was. But apparently they're interested, but they only want to move like Dorian Finney-Smith and Dwight Powell. So I'm like, okay, you're not going to get anyone for that. Not anyone good. Like, they couldn't get Marcus Smart for that.
No. You could get the Lakers 2027 first. Tucker.
You could get Kendrick Nunn, Dwight Howard, Talen Horton-Tucker, DeAndre Jordan. Literally, we'll give you anyone except for Anthony Davis and LeBron James. You could even have Russell Westbrook for free.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that would be
Porzingis and THJ for Russell Westbrook.
Oh my God, Luka would literally just be like, "Can you deport me?
I'm going back to Slovenia. I'm done. I'm gonna go drink Shirley Temples or sweet tea.
Sweet tea. Shirley Temples is Joel Embiid. Come on now. Hey, Luka Embiid, diabetic team here in Philly. Come on, let's get it. Let's make it happen. Ben Simmons for Luka. All right. So speaking of the Celtics, they are actually. Have you heard this one before? They're gauging the trade market the trade market for Marcus Smart.
For real, I think it's actually for real this time though. Like everything, they have no other options. Like, yeah, Marcus Smart's obviously like the heart and soul of that team or whatever. You know, like we know enough.
Smart is the heart and soul of your team. Then what are we doing here, really?
Oh, we're going 7 games above 500.
Yeah, I'm like he's fine, but.
Like, yeah, like obviously he's a great vibes guy, but like they have no options.
It seems like they all hate each other.
Yeah, I think that's literally just Kyrie poisoned their brains. Kyrie has and Kobe brain Jason Tatum have like ruined all the vibes. But like
they have Kobe and Kyrie brain. They've been the well has been poisoned in Boston.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole. Like I don't know. Like obviously like Rob's good. Like they should keep him, but he's also like probably their best trade asset. Like
yeah, he's also injured a lot. Like
yeah, I mean they have him on a very reasonable extension.
Yeah,
but like
yeah. Like all of the Celtics, like Smart is good and like Robert Williams is good and they're all on reasonable contracts. But like, once again, just another team that's like, we're not going to trade this guy unless we're fleecing the other team. Like they're just not going to do it. Like every one of their trades is like.
I think they're going to trade Schroeder into someone's like TPE or something, or generate their own TPE and call it a day.
Yeah, because that's what they do. It's a Ponzi scheme.
That would also get them under the tax.
No, they're under the tax now.
I thought the Juancho didn't quite get them there.
Okay, well, at least they're close enough that they only have to move like one minimum deal to get there. So, like Ennis Cantor or Ennis Freedom. I'm sorry, I apologize to.
Oh Jesus Christ,
Patriot. But like, you could just like salary dump him. Like, why do they even have him on the roster
again?
Like, yeah. Maybe you could salary dump him at the draft. Is he signed? Oh no, he's not signed for next year. I was gonna say.
Trigger warning for Celtics fans. Really Trigger warning for Celtics fans. You traded
Desmond
away.
Bane?
Yeah, Desmond Bane.
Trade him back.
Yeah.
So they're also shopping Horford and Richardson, which like shout out to the Celtics fan that got so mad that he blocked me on Twitter because I made fun of them for redoing the 2019-2020 Sixers offseason.
Hell yeah.
By bringing in Richardson and
I thought Richardson wasn't tradable because they gave him another year. Or was he just
so it's only a 1-year deal?
Okay,
so you're allowed to. I don't know. Like they all just seem made up. They're like, well, he only got signed to a 1 year. I'm like, sure.
I'm gonna put something cursed into the universe.
Say it.
Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Josh Richardson for Russell Westbrook.
I mean, that makes the Lakers way better.
Yeah, it makes the Celtics way worse. But
Yeah, I'm all for it then. Let's get it done.
it's something. Oh man, they get that THT in that 2027 Lakers. Rebuild the trade cabinet.
If Kendrick Nunn isn't included, then no deal. I need Kendrick Nunn on my team. Every GM in the NBA is dying to have Kendrick Nunn on their team.
Send Dennis Schroeder back to the Lakers.
That would be an incredible bit. Just another, just like, yeah, here, take Schroeder back. Take his vibes. The Lakers might do it. The Lakers are like, we're fuck it. Who cares? We're all gonna die soon anyway. So, yeah, you're not gonna get anything for Horford. Anything of like positive value unless you attach like picks and like a young player or
none of their young players are positive value. Maybe Peyton Pritchard.
Maybe.
Like he's a
seventh man. He's Landry Shamet. He's white Landry Shamet.
He's a backup ball handler that like is not the worst player in the NBA. Like he's fine. Like he's not gonna be good, but he's capable maybe.
He scored like 90 points in a Pro-Am game, dude.
Yeah, in Oregon. Yeah, exactly.
Come on. In Oregon, the hotbed for basketball in America.
And he's like a second or third year player, and he's like 25, so just.
Yeah. But... Also, damn, I can't remember the Celtics fan's name, but he got really mad because we all criticized the Celtics for passing on Tyrese Maxey for Aaron Nesmith.
Yep.
And then he got mad and was like, oh, look at the Sixers idiots for passing on Peyton Pritchard for Tyrese Maxey. Maybe we should stop judging the NBA draft like on the night of the night of the draft. And then I was like, would you like to check back in on that, sir? Who's better?
Obviously it's Aaron Nesmith. Did you know he broke the Celtics practice record for threes made in a row without missing more than two in a row of the most important of records?
That's so great.
He broke Jason Tatum's record. Yeah, like
that's so awesome because he's only ever been a 3-point shooter in theory. So
yeah,
literally had a 14-game stretch in college where he shot like 50% from three. And Danny Ainge was like, "Oh, so we just drafted Ray Allen."
And I remember when they drafted that French guy that no one had ever heard of, and I think he's like getting 1 point a game in the French league right now. Like,
Yam Madar. No, that was I know who you're talking about. That was the Israeli guy, Yam Madar, but I can't even remember that guy's name. What is he averaging?
Like 1 point a game in the French league, or basically the equivalent of the Bucks taking Georgios Katsiakis, except that it wasn't a favor to Giannis's agent.
They weren't doing it as a bit. They were like, we really like this random guy in France who is now averaging 1 point a game. Well, that's a great sign. Maybe they could trade him for THT.
27. It's getting to the point where it's like a Christmas, like the 12 Days of Christmas. And
it's literally like when Hugo from Warriors Twitter was trying to trade Andrew Wiggins and the Minnesota pick for like every superstar that came available. Yeah, Giannis or Bradley Beal or whoever. And it's like, in retrospect, the pick and Wiggins probably wouldn't have been a bad return for Bradley Beal, but all right. Yes, it would have been. I don't know why I'm saying that. Speaking of Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's putting pressure on the Wizards to make a move at the deadline for a second guy. So either Jeremy Grant, Sabonis, one of these guys that's out there that
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Well, yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie is now a human NFT. He is.
Can he even eat right now? Like the crypto's so in the dirt because he like out of money.
Yeah, no, that's why he's playing so poorly right now. His literally his shooting goes down. Like he's personally affected when crypto goes down. It's amazing. If you look at the charts, they're like identical.
I 100% believe this.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. But no, Spencer Dinwiddie only exists in the metaverse now. He's not an NBA player anymore.
Or the Netaverse.
Folks.
No, the Brooklyn Nets have announced their sponsorship with the metaverse. It's called the Netaverse.
Oh, yeah, that's incredibly lame. Yeah, but also he played for the Nets. I get it. It's a good pun. I liked it. But They are willing to move Spencer Dinwiddie at the deadline. So I don't know. I mean,
what did they give up on that sign and trade? Was it a first or what?
No,
What
they
all
only gave
was
up
it?
seconds. I think it was
Okay.
just seconds. Like I think that they just traded a trade. They created a trade exception for the Nets. So the Nets actually have a pretty big trade exception. I think they still have it. And then they basically just have Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, like the
Yeah.
Nets or the Wizards have Spencer Dinwiddie and like a bunch of tradable salaries. But like, who could they like? Could you trade Denny Avdia or Rui Hachimura or like one of these guys on your team and get Sabonis? Like, so they want an all-star back for Sabonis. Like
Bradley Beal for Sabonis is the funniest, saddest trade in the NBA.
Yeah, we solved both issues. And oh, didn't you see? You were the one that were like, this is Windy actually got. He's always so worried about getting aggregated that he actually got fucked over by the aggregators. Because what they said on the podcast was he's not going to sign the extension with the Wizards. But the reality was he was never going to sign the extension now because it's for 4 years. He can sign a 5-year max Bradley Beal this summer.
Yep, the same one basically Harden can sign, I think.
So, like, Beal's just going to sign the 5-year max there, and they're going to trade every pick and young guy they have, which, by the way, they can't trade their pick this year or in 2024 because they traded their 2023 first round pick in the John Wall for Russell Westbrook trade. So excellent. How are they going to make, they're not going to make a deal at this deadline that's going to move the needle at all.
It would be like,
like KCP and like
trade KCP to the Lakers for Taylor Horton Tucker.
Russell Westbrook goes back to the Wizards.
KCP, Kyle honestly, like, well, if you're the Wizards, you don't want to trade Kyle Kuzma because he's like literally your second best, if not your best player this season.
Holy shit. That's depressing.
He's been like every Wizards game I've watched, I'm like, holy shit, Kyle Kuzma is like the guy we thought he was that his rookie year.
I know. He's been pretty good. Yeah. But at the same time, like, he's Kyle Kuzma. Like,
yeah. Whatever. That sweater. I don't get fashion. I'm white.
No one got that. He looked like shit wearing that. You're not the only one.
Like, yeah, like I legitimately think you could get I wonder if Kuzma is enough for Sabonis, like Kuzma and stuff.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Think they would do it. Like, okay, Kuzma, maybe Denny Avdia, or Rui Hachimura. Like one of their, like, I don't think Corey Kispert has that much value, but like Rui at least showed some stuff in the playoffs last year. He's a big scoring wing. Like Kuzma, Rui, and like 2 first-round picks for Sabonis might make a little bit of sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I'd rather just have Kuzma, but I'm not in charge of trying to keep Bradley Beal happy, so whatever. Yeah, I don't know. That's just me talking out my ass. Am I now part of the mafia overrating Kyle Kuzma? Oh no! Like I legitimately would want to hold on to Kyle Kuzma.
We have Dave McMenamin on the podcast today. We have literally any Lakers reporter just tried to shove Kyle Kuzma down my throat for years.
We have that guy who made the Instagram post that comparing him to Jason Tatum in 2017 that gets posted every 5 minutes
with the 2K meters.
Yes.
I mean, hey, Tatum's slumping. All I'm saying is Kuzma is not slumping. Would you rather have Kuzma or Tatum is what I'm trying to say. Isn't Kuzma like 28? He's like old as shit.
He did he was at Utah for 87 years. So yeah.
I was going to say he was Van Wilder. He was a 7-year senior at Utah. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I mean, the only thing I had left on here beyond that was, speaking of Sabonis, did you see Bill Simmons' fake trade where the Sixers get Sabonis and Jeremy Lamb for Ben Simmons and a first-round pick? So Daryl Morey's been waiting all this time to trade for another center.
Yes. And Sabonis is like the perfect level of fake good. Like
100%.
It's completely unscalable of what he does. Yep. It's just like, I don't know what good team he helps. Like,
Maybe the Warriors. That was the only one we could ever come up with, because like the Warriors just have so much margin for error and like can cover up a lot of weaknesses for guys.
Yeah. But if they don't have Draymond Green, they cannot fucking play
Yes.
Sabonis
No.
out there.
Absolutely not. That would never work.
Yeah, like, again, if Draymond Green's done for the season, the Warriors are done for the season. Like, as we've been watching, they're garbage without him. But yeah, like Sabonis, like he's one again, like Sabonis and Ben Simmons, again, like what teams do they fit on? None of
good
them.
basketball players, and they fit on 0 teams in the NBA. It's like
that's
unbelievable.
Why the ridiculous 3-team trades that people have thrown. I don't know if these. I don't know if you picked any of these for the show tomorrow, but the Simmons and Sabonis on the Kings 3-teamer is the funny. God. I would just be like, what is that? What is that?
It would be amazing. They would just pass the ball to each other back and forth the entire game. It would be like that fucking clip of Blake Griffin when he was on the Pistons and they just keep passing the ball. Like those two together would never make any sense. That's why if Indiana was going to trade for him, I always thought they had to trade Sabonis so that they could do Miles Turner. At least it makes a little bit more sense with Ben Simmons. But once again, you're just shuffling deck chairs in the Titanic. As you've said, the Pacers have to be legally in the 5 to the 10 seed, so that always made sense to me.
Yeah, but they're gonna get arrested this year.
Well, their rebuild's over, dude. They sent out a tweet. They were like, "It's done. We did our bit. Miles Turner got hurt. Sabonis, we want too much for him, and we re-signed Malcolm Brogdon, and now we're gonna finish the rebuild. It's over. The Pacers rebuild lasted a month, and they did nothing. It was amazing.
Speaking of lasting a month, does Rick Carlisle get a second season?
Are they going to fire a coach for the 3rd straight year?
Malcolm Brogdon is a coach killer. I've been saying this. 3 out of the last 5 years, he's got the coach fired.
Maybe 4 out of 6 now.
Yeah.
If he gets Carlisle, is he going to want to stay there? Is the question.
I would if Halliburton and stuff like stay on the Kings, I'd rather go coach the Kings than coach the Pacers. Like,
oof.
I know it's the Kings, but at least you have a young player you can get excited about. Like,
and it's basically Pacers West at this point. Like their goal is to
what jobs do we expect to be open? Like,
Philadelphia.
Well, the Celtics already could have hired Rick Carlisle, I think,
and they didn't. Yeah. Well, the reason the Celtics hired Ime Udoka is because they're fucking cheap, dude. They didn't like they wanted a first-time coach, so they didn't have to pay him a lot of money because they're still paying Brad Stevens.
Yeah, to
work a different job,
to be a figurehead. I always wonder. I keep waiting for him to pull the Popovich and fire it, and then just take the job back over.
Just do the Pat Riley firing Van Gundy and just being like, I'm back. I mean, realistically, that probably will happen at some point if he stays on that contract for long enough. Like Udoka has been really disappointing. They're like 1-18 in close games and shit. I think Bill Simmons is gonna become the Joker if this continues. Like people are just losing their minds.
I legitimately think it's a profitable strategy. It's been a profitable strategy this season to, when the Celtics get up to plus 20 or a 20-point lead, take the money line of the other team.
Yes, 100%.
Like it's been absurd. Like
they have more collapses than any team I've ever seen, and I'm a Sixers fan,
and I'm a Bucks fan. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe once they get healthy, like they'll figure it out. But like they're still in the play-in.
What do you mean when they get healthy? Who's not healthy?
Well, now they're finally all back. Like they're starting 5.
Yeah.
And their starting 5 has apparently been good together. I don't know. This is all propaganda that I see from Celtics Twitter. Like Celtics Twitter is like, once again, just state media. Like there are realistic Celtics fans that I know and like and stuff, but the majority of Celtics fans on Twitter are like the guy from, I can't remember his name, Greeny, the Stool Greeny guy. He was like, he posted like, their record. Please stop. Their fucking record in like 13 games that they played together is 8-6, and then he put in parentheses 61%, and I'm like, for 13 games, like you can't take anything from 13 games. You have to take You need like at least like a 40 or 50 game sample size to be like, okay, this is a good team. Like you can't just be like, oh, well, for the 13 games that they played together, like
And
who
they've
were they
played the
playing in those
Yeah,
games?
they played the
Yeah.
Pistons, the Rockets, the
right. Like, did they beat anyone good? Did they blow out any teams? Like,
did they
like
play teams ravaged by COVID at that
right.
time as opposed to when they were?
Exactly. But yeah, so Bill Simmons wants to trade um Ben Simmons because he's very mad at Daryl Morey, which is funny because he's Morey's friend, and he's literally like on Twitter talking shit on him. He's like, get a fucking deal done, dude. Figure it out. And I'm like, I'm actually with Bill Simmons on this. He's being realistic. It's funny that like Shams is like kissing Morey's ass and telling everyone what a good boy Daryl Morey is in the media. And then Bill is like, fucking do something, dude. Like you've lost.
Yeah, because
like it's over.
Shams does whatever anyone wants. Like,
yeah, he's a
Shams
chameleon.
is a blank. He's a blank. As much as Adam Schefter is just a blank slate for like anyone, like Shams is literally a blank slate for anyone if they need to run a redemption story because they beat their wife, if they and overcame the adversity of beating their wife. Like,
yeah.
Like Kendrick Nunn faced so much adversity getting to the NBA. It's like, I fucking hate you, dude.
Derrick Rose. It's literally anyone.
He runs a Derrick Rose redemption piece every 2 months. Like
and the irony of that is like in our shitty media that people just don't even ever talk about that. So like, why do you even need to run these redemption pieces anymore? Like people they just move on with their lives. They don't care because our media just doesn't care. They're just like, whatever. Derrick Rose is a hooper, so we'll just be able to move on. But one last thing with the Bill Simmons thing is that when Bill Simmons talks about Sabonis, I know he doesn't watch Sabonis because he talks about him like he's Jokic. Like he's like, oh, that guy. Like he basically said on his podcast he would consider trading Jaylen Brown for Sabonis, and I'm like, for what? What is a Jason Tatum Sabonis team going to do better than a Jaylen Brown Jason Tatum team?
Get higher draft picks.
Which then they'll use on Aaron Nesmith and Romeo Langford.
It's like honestly incredible. They have blown every single pick except for since probably Robert Williams. Like ever since then. Like
yep, they've blown. No, like that's not even an exaggeration. They have blown every pick since the 2018 draft. Like that Robert Williams was the last good pick. And even then didn't he only fall because they thought he had like character issues and injury issues? Like
I thought it was injury issues. And then it was I think all the character issue stuff started when he was like late to his press conference or whatever.
Okay.
And the Time Lord nickname started. And
right.
Stuff, but
right. Well, when I talked to one of our friends at Death by Celtics, he said if the Sixers and the Celtics were to ever do a Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons deal, which he didn't want to do, but he was like, the Sixers would have to send us picks and they would also have to tell us who to draft with the picks.
As in the Matisse Thybulle for Carson Edwards trade?
Yes. Or just Tyrese Maxey, who the Celtics passed on. Like
the untouchable Matisse Thybulle.
Yes. Well, please don't even get me fucking started on that. That's an insane statement. That, once again, I hope all of this is just for posturing. I really don't think it is anymore. Like, I really think there's a good chance that Ben Simmons just doesn't get traded. Like, I really think there's a chance that I'm here on the deadline, sitting in this chair, and everyone that listens to the podcast gets to see my soul leave my body, and I will just die.
Yep.
Because Ben Simmons will still be a Sixer at 3:01 p.m. on February 10th.
I can't wait. You're just gonna be like, you're gonna have an all-time like either like anime or just like guy in a movie like breakdown screaming. No! I'm not gonna do it in the mic, but just screaming no into the mic, and just everyone's gonna like check to make sure you're alive. Like people are gonna.
I kind of just shut down cops in those situations. I kind of
like you're gonna cause a disturbance.
Like, I'll just get emotionally like negligent and just like kind of like just be sitting like it won't be as entertaining as it sounds. Like I'll just be really dejected and everyone will just feel bad for me. So at least we'll all feel bad together, right, folks? So that's a good place to end it. We will be back tomorrow. We're gonna do a live stream of Trade Machine War Crimes. We got a bunch of people to submit trades. 95% of them were Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris trades. I'll try to sort through the ones that weren't, and get the best ones, and then we'll riff on them tomorrow. So thanks for coming on, dude, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow.
Peace.